Hello and welcome back to the Vintage Super League. I'm Rich Shea, joined by the German juggernaut and one of the best players of all time, Kai Bude.
Yeah, not juggernauting that much lately here, but maybe another
I had a
day.
lightning bolt.
Yeah, I did get lightning bolted pretty badly there.
So I
Yeah,
see that
I
you.
thought you would be on shops. Like I was actually I thought I had you and Randy on set decks. Like I knew that there was a small chance you would be playing a Pyromancer deck because you played the Mentor Pyromancer deck in the daily.
So
But
Brian Kelly saved you. I'm playing Brian Kelly this trimester, and Brian Kelly decks are always contraptions. They're impossible to prepare for. But the one thing they do consistently is never losing a game to workshops. Um, Maybe he has a bunch of DAC Fadens, maybe he mid-decks Ancient Grudge, maybe Brian's going to have that green fellow to oath into that when he arrives he blows up every artifact. I don't know. Maybe he's on Black Lotus into Boulder Slug. I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that if he's among my opponents,
he,
I have to part ways with Mishra.
yeah. I mean, he's one of my opponents too, and that's also why I wanted to be playing a white deck because white seems to be pretty good against his range of decks. Gives you like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sideboard cards against both versions.
Absolutely. So
Maybe he's going to surprise us.
my deck selection is was actually either the deck that you played or Grix's Pyromancer. I I took that I last night I streamed playing LSV's deck. It's very similar to the Princess Power deck, but without any wastelands. And it was great. The deck flowed beautifully. It drew a lot of cards. It made a bunch of mentor friends, and it just felt fantastic.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm actually not sure if Mentor is all that much better than Pyromancer. Like, that one mana more is just a really big problem. You only have 3 Moxes and 1 Black Lotus to accelerate. I mean,
It's a big delta.
yeah, like I'm playing 4 Mentors, but I was close to playing 3 Pyromancers and 3 Mentors.
I
I
think
mean,
I think that's tough. I think Mentor is ridiculously powerful. I know some people have called for his restriction of all things. I certainly disagree with that,
yeah,
but
that's
I think Mentor's really tremendously good at what he does. So for me to win, I have to do something that gets underneath him. And I think historically there are two ways to get underneath Mentor. One of them is to just attack so aggressively that you can get the opponent dead before Mentor arrives, and the other is to use Cabal Therapy to get the Mentors gone before they start.
that's a problem. Like the Pyromancer shenanigans just start a turn earlier. And I
Right.
mean that's a pretty big disadvantage. It's like, I mean, it's not like, I mean, even if I drew Mentor, I mean, obviously in the second game it wouldn't have mattered, but even in the first game, I mean, I was just never on 3 mana. Like, I think
Right.
I had to gush then. Like, I hate gushing on your turn, obviously, but like, I know that you're very
Mm-hmm.
unlikely to have a Force of Will, and if I hit the Force of Will, which is like
Yeah. Yeah.
10, 15%, I think, 15 to 20%. Like, if I counter that Pyromancer there, it's just so strong. Like, I get another
Absolutely.
token, and all your cards are based on that Pyromancer resolving your whole hand. Like, you didn't snuff out my Pyromancer because you wanted to get another token and stuff. Like,
Right.
your whole game plan kind of crumbles if I hit that Force of Will, so.
Oh, absolutely. I was hoping you wouldn't gush there, because if I get to have my mentor or my pyromancer arrive, then I get to win basically.
Yeah,
And if
that's,
I don't get him, then I think you win.
that's what I thought. All right, let's just move on to the next match here. And now we have Lewis against David Ochoa. To be honest, I'm very well aware what Lewis is playing because he
Uh,
might be playing a very similar deck to mine.
the
We
oh,
might have talked before
mm,
this, so he will be playing a Jeskai Mentor deck as well. Like, our decks are not the same because we're playing different opponents, but it's the same shell. It's like probably
okay.
4 or 5 cards different, including the sideboard, so it's not
How
that
far
much.
how far does it deviate from his Moto daily deck?
Not that much. Like, I really wanted to have two probes in there, at least 2 probes, because probe is just too powerful if you have
Oh, I love
six
that
of
card.
these. Yeah, it's just, I definitely wanted to push those in, and then we changed the library for the strip mine, and then I think that's probably it. Like, we cut the lightning bolt and something else for the 2 probes, but it's pretty similar. I mean, that's not. I mean, you can only change that much, right? Like,
Right.
so many cards are fixed that you have to play. I think there's one Snapcaster Mage and one small Jace. We didn't want to have two Snapcasters. We didn't want to have two Jace. Like, Jace is pretty awkward if your opponent has the Caracas in play, which is the card that's getting played.
Definitely.
What are you putting Dave on? Like, Dave's range is,
Oh,
as it's been mentioned
I bet
before,
he's on
it's
workshops. I bet he's on workshops.
eventually he must get tired of that, right?
No, I mean, workshops are exciting. You tap a land and you get 3 mana, and unlike Black Lotus, it stays there. Black Lotuses don't last forever. You get one shot and they're gone. But Mishra's Workshop, it's like a diamond. It's forever.
All right.
It's
Well,
expensive as a diamond too, I guess, so it's all the more appropriate.
David and Lewis are ready, so let's see what they're playing.
Hey, I was right. Look, it's Mishra's Workshop cards.
And
Wasteland, Strip Mine, and, well, so
that's gonna be huge. Who won the die roll here?
that's
I
a
think
mulligan.
I think it's Dave who won
Yeah,
the
it
the
looks
die
like
roll.
Webb gets to go first, and I think he has to mulligan this hand. This is completely unkeepable.
Yeah.
Now that second hand is really interesting. I'd keep it.
Well, he kept it, and he has an Eldrazi temple on top of his library. I assume that's going to the bottom.
Ship that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually like running out Chalice at 0 against a blind opponent.
Especially if the blind opponent is Lewis. Lewis likes to play Moxes and Forcer Wills.
He's good at drawing them too, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's no chance Lewis is playing Dredge, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, it doesn't matter anyway, because the Chalice is a dead card, but against Lewis, yeah, you have to play the Chalice 0. But unlucky that he doesn't have any of his 4 mana creatures.
Well,
yeah, that's the Chalice 0.
Yeah. And you see that Dak Faden, Greatest Thief in the Multiverse, is there to do unfortunate things to Webb, but there's a Ravager. And as an honorary ATOG, that Ravager does get to eat artifacts and make Dak's life a lot less enjoyable. If you were a thief and you're trying to steal artifacts, and this robot went around eating everything you were trying to steal, it wouldn't go very well for you.
Yeah, but if you look at it that way, thieves like jewels, but Lewis jewels won't be helping here. The Chalice stops the Mox, so deck only comes down on turn 3, but unfortunately there will be a Tangle Wire before that happens. So that was one of the worst draws for David.
Yes, jewelry for everyone, but now it's worth pointing out that at some future point, Webb has the option of eating his Chalice, playing the Mox, and eating the Mox. Now, this was a play you'd make a lot before Chalice got restricted, so you could sort of draw a second Chalice, play your Moxes, and then replay the Chalice so that your opponent couldn't play anything underneath that.
Well, fortunately, there's only one copy of Chalice in David's deck.
So look what a big difference that that Chalice is making. Even without Tangle Wire, Luis couldn't do all that much on his turn, whereas if he had the ability to play that Mox, he could have his choice between a Mentor and a hungry Dak Faden.
Why is someone looking at his deck right now? That seems pretty strange.
Wait, what?
Like, I saw it on Lewis' screen.
Yeah. Did he fetch?
No.
No?
He can't. No, like, he only drew one fetch land, which is in his hand.
Apparently,
Magic Online. Alright, we are blaming words for this.
Yeah, well, that's always correct. So it looks like Magic the Gathering Online decided that the correct thing to do is to show Luis his deck. Was he trying to tap cards from his deck for Tangle Wire?
We should have. That would have been a pretty good play.
Wow.
That's
all right.
insane.
Well.
I've never seen that before.
Tangle Wire would get a lot worse if you could tap cards in your deck for it, right? Like, maybe you'll accidentally tap a land and then draw that land, and now you've drawn it and it's already tapped for you. But for the most part, I think it's
probably
a lot
untaps
worse, right?
in your draw step, I think.
Well, you go to your upkeep and you have to tap the lands inside of your deck for Tangle Wire.
Yeah.
And then you draw and it's already tapped, right? Or it doesn't, or does it untap when it changes zones from your library to your hand?
Probably.
Okay. Okay. I guess we would need to get a judge for this. I'm not entirely sure.
I was a level 2 judge, I think, at some point, but it's
Oh,
been
well,
10
you
or
would
12
know
years
then.
ago. Uh,
I've never drawn a tapped land before, so I'm not entirely sure how that works.
I wonder what Lewis is thinking about right now. Maybe they're talking
I
about the
hope
bug.
that there's not a bug that's preventing him from moving forward.
That whoa, second main phase. Okay, there's the land. Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, good, good. So,
Now he can look at 2 cards.
well, he's already looked at his whole library. I mean, it'd be a lot better than this, right?
What does he even want to find here? Probably just lands, right? Force of Will, sure.
Force of Will is always a nice card to have.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean the Ravager is obviously not killing him, so.
So, does Luis get to know the cards he's going to draw now? I mean,
No, I think it.
does it
Maybe.
shuffle? I guess it depends on how they have the code set up, right? If they have an auto shuffle after you look at your cards, you won't. But if not,
Do you cast the Tangerback Walker with your Black Lotus now, or just for one?
I think you just play it for one because the difference between 1 and 2 isn't all that big.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, you get these great draws that you could enjoy with your Lotus, like Triskelion. So Luis is going to enjoy having a Force of Will here.
Yeah, I mean that thing just gets out of hand. I mean, Lewis has 4 Swords of Closures in his main deck, but still, I mean that if that thing sticks around, like even if he only charges up twice, then if you swords it, it gets sacked to the Ravager, and there's 3 flyers, and
Oh yeah,
it's all pretty miserable.
Too many things happen here. So this is where Luis will tap up to 3 cards from his library, and then he will. If it weren't for Tangle Wire, he'd be able to play some nice spells here. Well, be able to play a Monastery Mentor, which would be huge.
Well, this is also where Lewis wishes he had the basic planes in his deck, but I can tell you that he does not.
Okay. Well, basic planes would be good here. Did you run the basic planes gambit today, Kai?
I had he's got 1 in the sideboard, and I have 1 too. I actually played you have 4 flooded strands, and then there's 3 other fetch lands. And just for you, I actually I moved 2 of the fetch lands to white-red fetch lands. So I could actually
Thank you.
Yeah, just for you. Just for your 4 wastelands, which I expected to see.
That's right.
I think in most other matchups it doesn't matter that much.
I did have a strip mine.
You did have a strip mine, yeah, but I didn't board in the basic planes against your deck. Eldrazi Temple.
Yeah, that's not the best draw.
The problem is that Webb really has to draw something soon, because that Tangle Wire is not locking Lewis down much longer.
So can I tell you, the highlight of my weekend at Star City was Jesper Muirfors, whose name I finally learned how to pronounce after 20 years, was there, and he drew Atogs on my planes, and that's just...
yeah. How else would you pronounce it? My Force, or...?
I thought it was Jesper. What do I know? But it's Jesper. So, anyway, I have Atogs on my planes now, and I'm pretty excited about that.
I saw those planes on your stream and on your Facebook feed, actually. They look pretty awesome.
I'm really happy about that.
Too bad you can't... I mean, you could Photoshop them into Magic Online, but it's slightly... Like, they don't want you to mess around with that. I mean, obviously, they don't care that much, but, like... I know that people, like, change the picture files for Moxes and stuff.
Right.
It's just... I guess it's generally not a good idea, because it's against... oh, that's a good idea, to draw Ancestral. Well played.
Yeah. Wow.
Excellent idea.
That was a great idea.
Yeah.
Man.
This is really running away for Web now. There's another Force of Will and the Swords, and then Mentors are coming down.
One thing I want to... Oh, well, he drew the best possible. Unfortunately, it won't be good enough.
Yeah, that's...
So, one thing that I want to point out about how the workshop decks have shifted is that they have all cut Mishra's Factory for Eldrazi Temple. And I think a main side effect of that is that in ages past, I think Luis would have had to Swords the Arcbound Ravager before Webb got to his main phase, so that he could get rid of all the tokens before they migrated onto the Mishra's Factory. Now that Mishra's Factory isn't seeing play, it makes perfect sense to wait, because there's no reason not to wait. Wow, and the strip
Strip
mine
mine.
too.
Phew. You probably use it on the tomb, right? Like it just
Oh yeah, I like that a lot.
it's just. I mean, casting the swords is nice, but
Oh, I guess you could have this guy too.
well, you do get a monk. But yeah, I think you strip mine over swords. Then next
Yeah,
turn you can go second mentor swords, and then the game. I mean, the game's over right now. I think.
yeah. Luis has already won this.
Yeah. I mean, for Lewis, it might not be over because the card in Web's hand could be something. But knowing that he has double bank. All right, now we right click concede.
That was a tremendously bad string of luck for Webb. It's this workshop deck is incredibly powerful, and I do love the deck. The only sort of weakness is that you can't regulate your draws at all. So you just have to take whatever top decks you're handed.
And your deck has about
Whereas,
30 mana sources. This is.
yes.
It just happens. I mean, oh
Yeah.
wow.
So
No,
if Luis had replaced his draw with a demonic tutor, he would have drawn Dak Faden.
it probably would have been Treasure Cruise, to be honest, but.
Well, okay. I mean, he's got to win one way or the other.
Yeah, now he's taking the red marks, I guess, but that doesn't even matter. Yeah, that's it.
And Webb just doesn't want to play this game anymore. I can't blame him.
Who is Scott-Vargas? Very strong magician.
Absolutely. So Webb is on. Oh, okay. So he's got a ratchet bomb on the sideboard, and it looks like are those triplex metamorphs?
Yeah. He really likes
Okay.
that card. He had this in his Eldrazi deck last week too. It's a really
Yeah.
good card for the mirror match, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of the time, the mirror comes down to who gets Crucible of Worlds first, and this helps you get a Crucible if your opponent has a Crucible.
But Lewis has quite a few sideboard cards for this. He's going to bring in one Pass to Exile. I believe there's one Serenity and one Kataki and two Disenchants.
Oh wow!
And I think he has the red-white split card in the main deck that kills enchantments and artifacts.
In the main deck, wow.
One copy.
All right.
Well, I mean,
So
he's
that's
playing
that's
against he's playing against Shu here, right? So you know that one of your opponents has Oath of Druids in his deck.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
No, I think that makes sense. I'm guessing that Shuhei owns exactly 75 cards on Magic: The Gathering Online, and
To be fair, he has been tuning his deck. He's just playing the same archetype, but he's been tuning his deck every week.
okay.
He's
So
always
8.
changed like a couple of cards.
Um.
It's probably about 85.
Yeah. Okay.
He's doing pretty well with those 85 cards. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah.
probably played 200 cards, and I'm doing way worse than him. So
Brian Kelly Oath is one heck of a deck, and it's a lot better in something like this where you know that your opponent will be sportsmanlike and concede to you if you get the combo. I've run Kelly Oath before in a daily, and I went 3-1, and my loss was when I had the combo. I was going infinite when I was up a game against my opponent, and I ran out of time as I was dealing him infinite damage.
I mean, if you play a lot of Magic Online, and Shui has played a lot of Magic Online in his life, I don't think you have that problem.
Manual dexterity is not my strong suit in life. I wasn't good at gym class. Chaos Orb it's a challenge, and clicking quickly is also not a thing I'm great at. So, speaking of manual dexterity, Webb has not actually changed his cards yet.
Yeah, I mean, what would you change? It doesn't seem to be anything, right? I mean, he's got a lot of
Ratchet Bump.
Dreadshade. Ratchet Bump? I mean, really? What does it... I mean...
It kills mentors. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe you don't want it.
I mean, I would probably just run it back. I mean, this main deck setup is good against blue decks. I don't think it's doing much better. I mean, sure, you can board and dismember against Mentor, but honestly, if Lewis gets to 3 mana and casts Mentor in his main phase, you're not winning these games, I don't think.
That's true. All right, so maybe you just play it like it is. And
he only has that doesn't work.
He cut Tangle Wires for Metamorphs. I was not expecting that.
Okay.
Maybe he wants to live the dream and have his very own monastery.
No, I think he just wants to live the dream and get like an early Swordnut Seer or Lodestone Golem. Like, I think that's just upping variance. Like, he's putting in cards that are only good if it's going well for him. But like, maybe that's necessary. I mean, he probably assumes that Lewis has quite a few sideboard cards against him.
He might be disgusted with Tanglewire after you play Tanglewire and proceed to draw two complete and utter bricks.
Hello, turn one Saltnuts here.
Well, that's quite a hand. Um,
I mean, the
Luis's
rest of
hand
the
is
hand is
no
not that
slouch either.
exciting.
Oh, I think that Webb has a fantastic hand. I think Luis has a hand that would have been great on the play, and I think it's just going to get a bit worse on the draw.
Yeah. I mean, Lewis has none of his cheap removal spells, no Force of Will. I mean, I guess you keep, but you're not going to be happy about it. Yeah, he kept.
So, what do you take here if you're Webb? I'd be kind of tempted by that Mox Pearl.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have Strip Mine and a Wasteland. I think you have to take the Mox. Also, if he draws. I mean, you probably assume that he only has two Moxes in his deck, right? So
Or
it's
do you
pretty
assume that
unlikely
he's
that.
Luis, so Black Lotus is on top of his library?
Well, true, but you can't take the top card on his library. And he already has two mentors, so he has a backup for Saltnuts here.
He does. He does. If he only had one threat, I think that would be fine. But he has infinite token generators, but finite land. It's
Yeah, I think you
what
take
was
the
that?
Mox. You could take the Pyromancer, but I think the Mox is the correct choice.
I like taking Mox here. That's going to bait Luis into fetching out a basic island probably, and pondering, and then you just get him.
Yeah, then you strip mine, Castle Ravager, and Lewis doesn't have all that much time to draw out of it. Also, Webb really
Right?
needs to start drawing his spheres. Like, his 8 sphere effects are so strong against Lewis' deck.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like Lewis is playing 15 lands, and that includes the strip mine, and lots of blue cantrips and 2 disenchant effects in his deck. Like, if you get 2 spheres down, it's such a nightmare for that deck.
Now, on the other hand, what Luis has going for him is that we've seen Mana Crypt do nothing but kill players,
Well,
at
there's 2
least the last
Ravagers.
2 weeks.
I'm afraid that's not going to happen in this game.
Well, all right. I don't know. Luis might get there with sudden shocks if history is any guide. Okay, so Luis did go for the land destruction route. He took the Mox and, or sorry, Webb went the land destruction route, taking the Mox. And I like this play because he's baiting Luis into doing exactly this.
Yeah. 2 is. Oh, wow. That's.
Oh, none of those
All his
Black
sideboard cards,
Lotus.
but no lands. That's a shuffle. And there's a land at least. Although that land gets wasted. Yeah, I think this game is probably over actually. Lewis will just never get to 3 mana.
We'll see if Webb manages to break the curse of the Mana Crypt.
Mana Crypt has been winning games. I mean, not necessarily for the owner of it, but
Well,
I mean,
yeah, it's been winning games, but just not for the guy that cast it.
eh, things happen. Strip Mine, the card that Lewis did not want to see.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've fetched out a basic against a workshop deck only to be completely crestfallen by the strip mine that arrives on the other side of the table. And Luis draws Force of Will. Wow, now Webb drew Thorn, so at least Luis has something worth forcing now.
Yep. You have to waste first, alright, yeah.
Yeah, you have to take him off Annul or Steel Sabotage.
Oh, waste first, come on.
Why would you play this first?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, it doesn't matter, but
If he has a bolt, he's going to fire it anyway.
to be fair, he probably knows what Lewis' deck is like. But like, I'm sure he saw what Lewis has been playing on his stream, so at this point, he probably has a very good idea what Lewis' 75 cards are.
So you just think he's slow rolling the wasteland to make him feel bad?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
It does open Web up for clicking through his second main phase, which is dangerous.
It does.
And we move on to the next game. Now, Lewis can't even draw anything. Like he can't draw swords and white mana in the same turn. So also, he's probably just dead. Yeah. Oh, he's dead. Never mind.
Once again, his 1, 4,
just,
5.
Oh no, it's 8 damage.
He's not quite dead yet. Webb can only take him down to 1 life.
Which he should have done, I think, because that disables a lot of Lewis lands.
Fetch lands. It shuts off his fetch lands.
I mean, that's like half of Lewis lands. These decks usually have 7 or 8 fetch lands, right? And there's 1 used.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think you do that there. Again,
I
it's not
actually
gonna
like
matter.
playing him to one. Luis can't even cast Snuff out. Maybe was playing around Abolish.
Land, Lotus, Time Walk, Serenity. Although that doesn't even kill Zartnuts here, so
Nope.
not good
Well,
enough.
the old
I mean,
Troll Cestral Recall.
Lodestone Golem is clearly superior to Zartnuts here, but like Zartnuts here does circumvent some of the hate, which can be
The
pretty
you
big.
know when I was trying to figure out what you were going to be on, Kai, I figured you were going to be on not both Workshop and Thought Seer together, and that's really all I had you on was not both of those cards at once.
That
Maybe
was
you play
a
Workshops, maybe
that
you
was a
play Thought Seer,
guarantee.
but you're not going to combine them.
Yeah, like I was actually very close to play either a white or a colorless Eldrazi deck, but
Yeah, I thought
given
you might.
given that Randy's opponents are in the last 3 rounds and that Randy really wants to win, I think that there's a very high chance Randy is running Dredge. And
Hmm.
that's not something I want to run into with an Eldrazi deck. But I felt that Eldrazi's, like especially white Eldrazi's, are probably pretty good against Brian and you. Because
Yeah,
you
White Eldrazi
both.
is generally good against what I'm trying to do in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even like all your deck, like basically all your range doesn't want to play against Eldrazi decks. Like usually,
Yes.
like I'm putting you either on a Mentor deck or on Workshop, and both of these don't like to play against Eldrazi's.
No, it's true. It's absolutely true. I did break from that today, though. I'm not playing Mentor or Workshops.
Yeah, but I think that's similar though. Like I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
think
playing
the
Gush. It's similar.
yeah like I don't think the Grixis Pyromancer deck likes to play against big creatures that are undercoasted. That doesn't seem to be a perfect
It's
matchup.
it's
Ooh,
not great. It's a little better for it. And speaking of a little better, Webb's
I
hand
like
is a
the
lot
first
better than
six cards
previous
hand.
ones.
Uh, this Ravager, I mean, it's just underwhelming. But yeah, I mean this is a pretty good hand.
Well, but the point isn't Ravager, right? Luis might play a Mox, and then you get to live the dream of playing a Thorn and a Revoker. I think Webb has a really strong hand. And Luis also has a really strong hand because he has Ancestral and Force of Will. And that Force of Will, I think, is going to make all the difference in the match.
Maybe Webb should have boarded out Ravagers now that I see him draw two Ravagers again. I mean, it's just.
You
I
know,
mean, it's a good
you know, like
card, but it doesn't do much. Like in the
it's
first game,
a.
if his Ravager was actually like a Juggernaut, he might have won. Just
What if it were a
it doesn't.
German Juggernaut?
Well, then he probably didn't win. But
Well, I think the reason you need to play it is Dak Vaden.
yeah, that's true.
It's
It's a
it's
new.
not that it's not that Ravager's amazing. He's amazing in the mirror match. In this match, he stopped dacking. So Luis is probably going to force here, and then Webb is going to have the backup bonus copy, and that's actually going to be pretty big. And so
Yeah,
Sphere is more symmetric.
I'm not sure if it's big enough. Like Lewis next turn preordains, and if he finds more lands, he's the problem is again that Webb just doesn't have an offense. He's just giving Lewis time, and Lewis cards are going to be good enough.
Well, this is a big preordain. If Luis finds a land, he's in. Oh, he found a land. All right. So Luis is in pretty solid shape right
This
now.
is a really big draw step, and that was a good draw.
Oh wow, that is pretty good actually.
Now,
Webb draws
yeah,
clone.
we have Wasteland on Tundra and another Sphere of Resistance, and now
Yeah,
Lewis
that.
might just not be casting his cards ever again.
So all right, I was questioning I was questioning bringing in the Phyrexian Metamorphs, but this is a giant advertisement. This is like a billboard on the highway. Come down to Yawgmoth's Emporium where you can buy Phyrexian Metamorphs. They're as
It's
good as
only
your
a
imagination
bit
allows them to be.
unfortunate that I mean, maybe he should have just played the Thorn first and just assumed that Lewis is Lewis and he has a Force of Will. Because having two Thorns in play would be substantially better right now.
Wow. This is actually incredibly brutal. That one Thorn made all the difference. Though Luis is not interested in missing.
Oh
Oh
wow!
wow!
Okay,
Rip,
that
man.
makes a difference. Before that card, I was actually saying Lewis still might have enough time to draw out of this, but Strip Mine, that's pretty rough.
Oh, and Luis does not have the gush, which would have been phenomenal for him there.
No, it wouldn't. It would be really bad. I think. I
Well,
think he
wouldn't it
just
be better
dies
than
if he
losing his
got.
land?
I mean,
But
the
Luis
problem are land
continues
drops,
making
right?
land
Right?
drops.
Like
Wow,
if you
Luis is so
just
good
goes
at making land drops.
yeah, he has only 14 in his deck, by the way. but if Lewis gushes there, he has no permanence against 2 spheres in play. That is not a position you want to be in.
I guess it's bad if you know that you're going to be top decking land, which Luis is. So Luis might actually be able to claw his way out of this if he draws another land.
Highly possible.
All right, so
Now
now
he's
these
got the
being
first
spheres are
removal
not
spell online.
bubbles.
Oof.
Well, wow.
Uh,
So if these were thorns, not spheres, then Mentor would have arrived and started to do battle. But instead, um, instead this is a great game. Every time I see a draw step in this game, I
but,
think, wow, this guy's winning now.
but Dave should have cast this before combat. It's 1 more damage. Like Lewis is going to cast the swords on a Ravager now. But if Lewis draws a land next turn, he has both Ravagers dealt with. And I mean, that Triskelion is not coming down anytime soon. That costs
Right.
9.
You're right. That makes this interesting.
Yeah. The problem is Lewis has what? He has 7? He's got like 8 more lands in his deck. So,
Well,
easy. No
I see
problem.
that we're playing against Luis, which is
It's a pretty expensive chalice.
he can play it at 0.
Doesn't really
Of course,
do anything though.
I don't know who that hurts more.
Yeah.
I actually think Webb has more zeros left in his deck than Luis does.
Possibly. Also, Black Lotus would be pretty good for Lewis, I guess.
It would be.
I mean, these 3 spears are going to be a huge problem. I mean, right now, Lewis looks like he's slightly ahead after he kills that Ravager, but those 3 spheres, I mean...
Webb is going to regret not having a waste in his deck, isn't he?
Yeah.
It looks like Luis is deigning to take 1 rather than and get a little more information, I think.
Really?
No, I think that makes sense. That means that Webb won't play something on his second main and make Luis look terrible.
What? I mean, what would he play on his second main?
Oh, I don't know. Workshop, Lodestone Golem.
Sure, okay, that's the only thing.
Wow,
how many lands can you draw?
I don't know, but Luis is... Wow, are you sure he's only playing 14 land?
I think it's 15. 14 in the strip mine. Whoa.
So he can actually disenchant now.
I probably would have played the Stony Silence there, but maybe not.
Well,
I mean, he's probably going to cast deck next turn.
Yeah, wow. So maybe he doesn't want Stony Silence because he wants to Mize that Mox.
Probably, yeah. I mean, he's going to disenchant his Sphere effect, right? I mean, Spheres are
I think so.
So annoying. Like, if he disenchants his Sphere here, he can play a Mentor next turn, and a Mentor in play is pretty tough to beat.
So I guess you could... You know, Luis was pretty far behind, I think, and then he's just been drawing a lot of land. Someone in the chat saying he's drawing a lot of land like John Avon. That's pretty good.
Well, Lewis... Which turn are we in here? It's turn 7, yeah. Lewis made all his first 7 land drops.
Wow, that's the way to do it.
Very impressive.
So I think Webb is considering whether he wants to Chalice at 1 or if he wants to play his Revoker.
Yeah. I mean, you could Revoker on deck. I mean, that's probably what you cast Revoker on in this spot.
I like that a lot, actually. Because I think Webb has to assume that LSV will continue making land drops for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think it's a Revoker. It has to be on deck, though, right? I mean, there's nothing else.
Yeah, I agree. Dak is such a brutal card here. Even stealing that Mox. What was that card from Ice Age? Conquest, where you steal a land? That's pretty powerful.
For 4 mana.
They reprinted it. It was wasn't it 5 mana, but they reprinted it at 4 mana in blue as Annex because blue does everything better.
I mean, that card was. I mean, maybe it was played and constructed, but do you disenchant the Revoker now? Probably, right? I mean, you just assume that you draw a land if you lose, right?
Yeah, I mean you always draw a
Ah,
land, right? Don't you?
come on, Lewis.
Oh, okay.
He just wants to get the mentor into play, which is fair enough. I mean,
Nope.
so now we need to draw a workshop badly.
Workshop. Oh man,
It's a good card.
this would have been so good at last turn. This would have been phenomenal.
Yep. I mean, last turn it just gets. I don't know. It doesn't get disenchanted. Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
it would have
Can't
been a
get
pretty good draw.
disenchanted. Can't get dacked. It would have been exactly the card to thread the needle.
Well, it could have got like if he casts Lodestone last turn, then he responds with Disenchant on Sphere, and then if he draws a land, he actually deck fadens the Lodestone Golem.
Yeah,
That's
that's
very
true.
bad. No, I mean with the Golem in play, I mean this mentor is not going nuts with 3 Sphere effects.
So this is where Luis is trying to snap free of David's web, if you will.
Now
And
this is where he's trying to draw his one Serenity actually.
oh man,
Sword
Thought-Knot Seer, but he can't cast it.
Can't cast it. Yeah, old problem.
This is your favorite combination of things happening, Kai. I know how much you love this.
Just happens so often, though, right? Like it's.
It does. It does.
I mean, the card is obviously great, but so do you attack
like
with Lodestone
Chalice
there?
Reborn here.
Yeah, I think you.
Huh.
Yeah, Chalice for one seems good. I mean, you have to assume that he has at least 4 swords in his deck. I mean, I guess the swords and the path are gone already, but yeah.
Once you saw the Path to Exile, you have to think he has more of them, right?
Yeah.
He has at
Also,
least 5 sword effects in his deck, plus all the cantrips.
yeah, exactly. And Chalice doesn't hurt you at all. So yeah, I
Right,
think
Chalice
that's
at 1 is perfectly one-sided. You don't even need to tap your Ancient Tomb to cast it here.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, Lodestone Golem just
I think
to make the card a bit more fair. It mainly affects your opponent. It's well designed.
Well-designed card that is a 5/3 and makes your opponent's spells cost more.
Yep.
I wonder if they thought that this card would be best friends with Mishra going forward when they designed it.
I mean, like honestly, they don't really look at eternal formats when they design cards, and I think it's justified. I mean, it's just too much.
How is it justified? Eternal formats are awesome.
They are awesome, but they can't test that stuff. I mean, it's already difficult enough to just test standard. I think.
Well, they could test less Type 2 and test more of this good stuff, and I don't know.
It's
I think
already
this stuff's good.
bad things happening in standard too often. I think.
Actually, I think last time I played standard, I bought a deck for a Star City Invitational, played it, had a positive record, and then sold it immediately.
I mean,
and it was a mono red burn deck.
That's what I mostly do. All right, let's give loose another mentor, but yeah, that's just gonna be chump blocking again.
So Luis builds his very own Stone Rain for David's island, basically. Ooh, Metamorph. That's actually really strong.
Cast it? Yeah, you can cast it. It's 2 Lodestone Golem in play.
Yes.
Haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, I think actually Web is winning this game now, right? Like that's a 4 sphere effect. Lewis is just not casting anything anymore.
This is the 18th time that I've had a new opinion of who's going to win this game. So at this point, I'm willing to admit that I can't follow who's winning anymore. But I can say that this is as awesome as a match between Webb and LSV should be.
It's pretty swingy, but right now I think Webb is quite far ahead. I don't even know what Lewis wants to draw here. Probably more lands, but even that doesn't do that much. Like, I think if Web attacks, he has to double block now. Yeah, I think you have to double block, and you can't source because of the Chalice. I think Lewis is just losing this. I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow.
You have to draw a land now. I think. Yeah, if he draws a land, he can deck Fade and the. No, he can't deck the Revoker. Shuts it down.
Serenity's not even out here because he dies first.
Yep.
Does he have
Yeah.
pulverize?
Nope. I think that's it. I mean,
Wow, look at that dagger of a strip mine. It's not only another land, but a land that would have won in the game if you'd drawn it earlier.
yep. Yeah, if he strip mines that workshop, web doesn't cast spells. I mean, now he can cast the mentor, but he's just going to jump block the lodestone golem with it. That doesn't get him anywhere. I don't think he can draw
Yeah,
anything. The problem is that Lewis can only cast one spell a turn, and that's just not good enough right now.
right.
Wow, I really
And
didn't think Webb was winning that after Lewis hit his 8th land drop or something.
huge props to Webb for navigating his way through this mess.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even have a sideboard, but yeah. Like, Lewis sideboarded a lot. He knew this matchup was coming. And another jump blocking mentor.
Ooh, can he play the? No, he still can't actually cast the Thought-Knot Seer.
And there's also a Stony Silence, so Soaring is not... Like,
Oh, right.
Soaring gets shut down both by his own Chalice and the opposing Stony Silence.
Oh, that's true. Soaring is the deadest card imaginable there.
Yeah, Soaring was a very bad draw,
Wow.
but it wasn't needed. Done.
What a game.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I mean,
That was...
it's kind of started with Lewis' opening hand. Lewis' opening hand was not great. I mean, I think you have to keep it, but yeah. And then...
I like keeping it there.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely keeping it. But David has a very good opening hand with multiple sphere effects. But yeah, the clone effect that he brought it in turned out to be great. I mean...
Hey, I guess I was wrong to question it. So it looks like I won the first match that we played. I am finally deterministically not able to be relegated.
You can only go... Yeah. You're locked.
I can't be relegated. Basically, either I had to win or I needed Smedden to lose to dodge relegation. Steve is
I mean,
currently
at 4-2, you're not really looking at a relegation, right? Like, you're in a pretty good spot for playoffs, especially now that Lewis lost.
I guess so. I work in computer security. I guess I tend to look at the worst case scenarios for things, which is why I'm thinking about dodging relegation at 4-2.
Oh,